It's very easy to get a list of rulers who are villainous or greedy or whatever.
Sean Lang is a lecturer at Anglia Ruskin University, and he compiled a list of rulers who were bad leaders but pleasant people. You know, solid dinner companions.
I order you to be quiet!
His roundup of 8 of the nicest kings in history includes King Louis XVI of France, who was sent to the guillotine during the French Revolution.
Ah! With his hand!
I'm not saying that niceness leads to your being executed, but it begins to look that way when you're the ruler.
Lang says Louis XVI took his duty as king very seriously, but he also wanted to be loved by everyone. During his rule in the second half of the 18th century, France faced an economic crisis and people were starving. A string of finance ministers told him to tax the nobles and the church.
And when the nobles say, "Don't you dare tax us," what does the king do? Does he sort of say, "No, I stand by my minister"? He says, "Oh, well, no, quite right, I don't want to cause any trouble," and so he sacks the minister.
The king's eventual fate is shown on the TV show Family Guy.
Look, Louis, the French people really want to thank you for your services as king, but it's just not working out, and we've decided to go another way.
Other people on Lang's list?
Nicholas II of Russia. If you're thinking, is he the one who gets overthrown in the revolution? Yep, he was. And Charles I of England. Was he the one who got overthrown in the Civil War? Yes, he was.
So that's kings and czars for you. Next up, U.S. presidents, or one U.S. president in particular.
Honestly, I had never really heard that much about Jimmy Carter, other than perhaps the fact that he was becoming a great ex-president.
Amber Rosner is author of the book Jimmy Carter and the Birth of the Marathon Media Campaign. If you ask people who was the nicest U.S. president, they may well answer Jimmy Carter. Rosner says when Carter ran for president in 1976, his campaign team crafted his image.
In particular, a peanut farmer turned nuclear physicist that promised to never tell a lie and to deliver a government as good as the American people.
Jimmy Carter knows what it's like to work for a living. Until he became governor, he put in 12 hours a day in his shirt sleeves during harvest at his farm. Can you imagine any of the other candidates for president working in the hot August sun?
Carter ran during a credibility crisis in American politics in the wake of Vietnam and Watergate. He appeared in carefully staged events.
Some of the central backdrops to the campaign were Plains Baptist Church, where Carter taught the men's Sunday school class, and also they spent a lot of time at the local softball field there, actively playing games with the press, and then also at fishing ponds.
But maintaining a virtuous image is tricky. In a 1976 interview with Playboy magazine, Carter famously described lusting for women and said he committed adultery in his heart many times.
Some scholars and cultural observers of that campaign would say almost lost Carter the election.
But it didn't. Carter won. By 1979, though, the country was experiencing high unemployment, inflation, and an energy crisis.
It's clear that the true problems of our nation are much deeper than gasoline lines or energy shortages, deeper even than inflation or recession.
That year, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, U.S. diplomats and citizens were taken hostage in Iran, and there was the incident with the killer rabbit. Jimmy Carter was in a boat, fishing in Plains, Georgia, when he said a rabbit leapt in the water and swam towards him. This incident is mocked on Saturday Night Live in a scene where he meets with Fidel Castro.
I
can see being attacked by a dog, or a fox, or a hedgehog. A chicken can become quite angry, even a wild pig. But a rabbit, that's crazy.
Carter's staff didn't buy this story, and that went against his image as an honest president. But photos show it really did happen.
This is a moment in which the film Jaws had just premiered. And so one of the most famous images is of Paws. So this rabbit that's attacking Carter. And it became kind of a larger metaphor for Carter's failed presidency.
I haven't met Jimmy Carter, but he seems genuinely virtuous. He's done a lot of good things for the planet and mankind since his presidency, like set up the Carter Center to eradicate disease, promote free and fair elections across the globe. He's given back to the public through Habitat for Humanity.
Really kind of practicing what he preaches. And you don't really see that a lot, certainly not in American politics.
Jimmy Carter, look, he was a nice man. He was a terrible president.
But maybe we can try to have both. For Philosophy Talk, I'm Holly J. McDede.